ancient Egyptian pyramids. This one, I thought about this as I was sleeping last night, and it is it's a crazy idea, but this is where my mind wanders to. You tell me what you think about it. uh, so in the Emerald Tablets, they talk about not they don't talk about preparing the body for mummification, right? But we know like mummies come from Egypt and all of that. Uh, so my idea on this last night is why did they put the carcass, the body of that person, into a golden whatever they call that thing. It's great for Substack, right? Like I was just talking to my neighbor. He said this is for like writers and very intelligent people, and I'm like, oh great. He's just like, not me. Well, as far as my vocabulary, my vocabulary starts escaping me as I'm talking on these. But my big point, if you have been following me on the reason for the stars and the reason for the ancient temples all over the world, can you say hi, whoever you are? William Scott, what's up, buddy? So this ought to be interesting. I wish more people were on here, and I don't think I can save this. You know what I'm going to do is try and screen record. Hang on one second for me. Media and microphone. I'm just hoping that it'll play back properly. So it says there's two there now. So they put these guys into a sarcophagus made of gold, right? And they were all about getting your soul off to the heavens to become a god in the cosmos, in the divine arrangement of things, right? So in that the divine arrangement of things in ancient Egypt, right? So basically, if you've ever been following me on, can you read that? You can read that. I do like that. But in the divine arrangement of things, in the pyramids, you really have to go into the idea of, maybe the earth is flat. I don't know. Who am I to question one way or the other, right? You have to be there. You can't say, well, I know that, because you don't know. You don't know shit if it was taught to you in school. They'll give us arithmetic and things like that. And I lost my marker again. They'll give us arithmetic and these simplified methods of using the memory side of our brain only, right? But all of that is psychological entrainment. It's to create a method of thinking, the way that you think, right? It's all based out of memory. It's not based out of abstract thought on culmination of multiple different layers of your psyche, your ego, right? Like you learn different things. Like, so looking at things as a mathematician. That's why the 7 liberal arts are super super important in this stuff. You've got to get to a point where you're able to see with your mind instead of your eyes. Some kid said that to me last night on one of my Facebook posts. Like, I'm really disappointed, and da da da. He goes, and I'm like, I'll believe what my eyes can see. And like that's what we're taking advantage of on, right? You're watching me right now. Is it really me? Is it AI? Right? I have to be able to decipher and discern what is the truth behind whatever. So I'm going to tell you about the earth and the esoteric stuff. Unless you want me to talk about something else, but I can't see any commentary there yet. Hi, Shane. Hey, William. What's up, man? I really appreciate the subscription, man. Really do. It's my goal to get the hell off of Facebook and start getting people to free their minds. And you guys are a big part of helping me make that happen. So I can't even tell you, like, thank you so much. I'm not even joking with you. It's I mean, there's not very many there, but still, what is there, I'm sure will help out in one way or another. So with this now, Let's pull this thing closer and get onto the. When I try to explain to you in my best method how you could determine whether the earth was flat or not, just using your own ability to reason. Okay, there we go. This damn light. Another problem with the light. See, I don't have everything set up. I am going to do a lot more here coming very soon as far as getting my computer rolling again. And I don't do a lot of computer stuff. So the sarcophagus and the acceleration of the death process. So they had the Ba, the Ka, and the Kat. So the Ba was the soul body. The Ka was the spirit body on earth. This is like the midway point. If it was the yin and the yang, it would be, one is the sky. That would be your white, your energy, your positive energy. And then one is negative. Well, it's the harmony between the two. And that would be what you called your Ka, is the Ba and the Kat. That is your earthly physical body. This is your electromagnetic body. Physical would also be magnetic. So that's all that's left. From dust we came, and dust we shall return, like the Bibles all say. So the Ba being the soul body, that was a picture of a bird with a human head on it. There's like this big gnarly looking head. A human head on a bird. So that was what they called the Ba. Anytime you see that in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, what that's defining is the soul body. So now you've got the pharaohs and their golden death mask. It's all gold, and it's the other stuff is called. I always want to say pyrite, but it's not. Malachite. It's like a blue, or that's lapis lazuli or something. So the colors of it anyway are blue and gold, and there's a resonant energy in the stonework itself. The stones themselves are just like the quartz crystals in the cloudbusters. I just did a video on the cloudbusters on Facebook. I'm saying cloudbusters here because it doesn't matter. Awesome to meet you. Oh, there we go. Glad to be here. Thanks heaps for what you do. All my life I've looked for real people to connect with, and it's awesome to meet you. Likewise, dude. I mean, there's a lot of conversations to have here that a lot of people don't really get into the depth of these things, and they don't think with their soul or their spirits anymore. It's all about how far down have you been beaten into submitting to whatever the mainstream narratives on all things are, and for me, obviously it isn't a pretty thing now, right? We're looking at the outcome. We're looking at the outcome now. There's my marker I've been looking for. So in that funerary process, right, you got the pharaohs and the way that they would lay there. It's all in gold. What they were doing was using ionization to drive the Ba up into the heavens. And they used the ancient Egyptian pyramids to do that. The Ba was the soul body. So what they would always claim in the emerald tablets of Thoth is that we come from light to return to the light, right? We come from the light in consciousness is what they mean by that. That's it. I'll read you a thing out of the emerald tablets of Thoth here real quick. I'll try and find something that'll make. So there's a preface. This is for, I guess this is for like really intelligent people. This app itself. So I'm not. I don't compose myself well before I get on here, and so even if it's only one or two people, I'm happy to be here. So the halls of Amenti, right? I could probably burn right through this whole thing, but as I go, it's only 3 pages, man. You're gonna enjoy this, William. So what I'm trying to tell you is like, all right, so you have to look at the concept here. I don't know how far you've followed me on all of my previous stuff on Facebook, but the dome that we live under, right, is a hemisphere. So I just need you to think this way for this conversation only. All right. There's no globe. There's no big giant flat plate. It's like we are inside of a gigantic cosmic bubble, something like that, turned on its side, right? So we are on. We live on Earth, not in Earth. The cosmos is the state of the world at this time. Like the Greeks kind of corrupted the word, and previous to that, the Egyptians called it. It wasn't the Duat. The Duat was the underworld. To make it into the underworld, I can't remember what the Egyptians called it, but basically that divine arrangement in the heavens. Is this a good conversation here? Therese Woodley, hi there. I was just thanking William for for the subscription, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope there's a lot more because the things that I have to say are pretty crazy, but I've come to a point of knowing them. Like I know how they work. So what I was going to do is read from the Emerald Tablets, unless you guys have something else you want me to cover anything on the Cloud Busters or the new method of putting the Cloud Busters together, the paint can ones. You can straighten your own sky out at your house right now. If you need, oh, cool. All right. So if you need any schematics or anything like that, or have any questions, you guys are welcome to have my phone number, by the way, too. So anybody that is a free or a paid member, I think this is going to go. Actually, send me a message. Send me a message. Send me a message. Say that hey, I have a question or something or whatever. I'm not. You can talk to me anytime. Um, So the stars being made by the pyramids, they were made by the pyramids. Like I can show you so many different images on this. All these different ancient temples all over the world have a constellation directly above it, and you'll always hear from the archaeologists. Oh, they were incredible astronomers and whatever. Right? They would build all of their stuff in direct alignment with the stars and the constellation. Do you know what kind of precision is necessary for that? That's just crazy, right? And this is the way that we learn through memory. That's what we hear. It's what we believe. We never go to Egypt. By the time we get to Egypt, our brain is packed with that shit, right? And you get to Egypt, you don't know how it really worked. And you're like, it's just like, all right, it was big rock stacks, interesting. Adios. We'll see you later. Well, when you understand the spiritual foundation to the way that they did what they did, which so there was Ma'at. Ma'at is that was all right. So that's what they called. That's what Kemet, the ancient Egyptians, called. You should look these up, by the way. You would really enjoy the read. So Ma'at was a divine order or divine justice, the divine harmony or divine balance in all things, right? So as an individual, I'm here to make this place the best place I can for everyone, right? It's not about save my soul and my soul only, right? If you look at the differences between the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which had the 42 confessions of Ma'at, that was before you go into the underworld or whatever, they would weigh your heart against the feather. But they would always say this in these negative confessions: I have not murdered, I have not stolen, I have not done all these things 42 times. Well, they decided to take 10 of those out of there, and that's what the Bibles are written after, right? So Akhenaten is the story of Moses. Akhenaten is also one of the Hyksos, and the Hyksos were the people that occupied the thrones of ancient Egypt. So after Akhenaten gets thrown out, and the Hyksos were the Greeks pronounced it Hyksos, Hyksos. What the Egyptians called them as the native people that already lived there, who were purely spiritual, who didn't want to kill, who didn't want to go to war. They lived in their lives in this purity and this beauty, right? And they called them the Heka Pasut, the Heka Pasut, and the Heka Kasut were this warring tribe that was a merchant tribe. They started off in ancient Mesopotamia, but this is like the ancient um, the Chinese Silk Road. They controlled all the corridors for travel, and um, they created their own markets, right, like they do now, right? So if you don't know what's making you sick, right? If I live my life in purity and harmony, and I know that these are the things I have to do to stay healthy, but if I don't teach everybody else those things, right, that's like we're living with EMF and we're eating sugar and different types of meats and all that stuff. There's a reason that the Hekakasut, I'll call them, right? That's what they originated in modern times. That's where they came from, was from Mesopotamia through Persia, like Iran, the Levant, right? Top northeast to ancient Egypt, where they're at right now, right? Same people. Um, so the Hekakasut, and Heka was the magic, was Egyptian black magic, is what they called it. It wasn't black magic. It was just simply that divine thing that is in all things. So that's how they describe, um, Thoth the Atlantean, is the Egyptians said his name was, said that I am that, right? And they call that apophatic speech, like Jesus would speak like that, right? Apophatic. And when you speak like that, you say, like, as this concrete floor, I am this concrete floor. Look at all the dust and dirt on me, right? So when Jesus says things like, I am the light, I am the way, like these are where the Gnostics all learned, was in ancient Egypt in the Library of Alexandria, right? So the Hekakasut came in and took advantage. They said, "Oh, well, look at all these people; they're weak, right? Well, where did they get all these war technologies and everything? It's because they were merchants. They traveled from Iran through Mesopotamia. They were the Akkadian Empire. They figured, hey, we can create one world currency, right? And that's what they did. Everywhere they went, they would apply the currency to wherever they lived and say, hey, you want to be like those guys? So they would set themselves up 20 years in advance, already knowing what they were going to do to the place where they landed, and Egypt was one of these places. Greece was one of these places. Persia was one of these places. Rome is the last place that we know of in our lifetimes, but that's just that's wild. So the Heka staff is a dog head, right? And that just meant that thing that is in all things. And the Egyptian god Thoth has this thing called the Declarations of Thoth. If you look that up on YouTube, the Declarations of Thoth. Um, Take notes on this and write that down and go look it up, man. Go look that up on YouTube. But the Declarations of Thoth, he states, I am that which rushes down from the mountains high. So if there's a mountain here, what could he be talking about? I am that sweeps across the plains and feeds seed to the earth. I am that, like he keeps saying, I am that thing, right? The Indians say that in the Ayurvedic cultures, right? I am that. It's what he's talking about, is that. That's the one thing that permeates all things. And so, what do we hear when we're little kids? God is in everything, right? And that's what the ancient Egyptians called God. Well, Christianity was built on ancient Egyptian spirituality, but by Rome. And Rome used ancient Egyptian spirituality to say, look at how much power those priests have. You know, um, everybody does whatever those priests tell them to do, right? Like, and that's the beginning of the Catholic Church, like where the priests meant more for your spirit than your own lifestyle did, which is wild, right? When you come to the realization, like, wow, this all came from Egypt. Absolutely. Like, I can give you a few different books if you want to. If you want me to list a few different books that I've read on these, I'd be happy to. Asclepius is a really important one. The Perfect Discourse of Asclepius, I think, is what it's called. Yeah, the Perfect Discourse of Hermes Trismegistus, and Asclepius was his son in Greek, right? Um, Another one, if you have some questions about, like, especially the flat Earth thing, a lot of people can't get it. This is a freaking awesome book. It's a pastor that does it. Let me see here. There we go. Like Clay Under the Seal is the name of it. Dean Odell is a pastor. Um, so now, anyway, apophatic speech. The Hyksos Ma'at was the divine order, the divine balance. It was the what the Greeks called the cosmos, and the cosmos only meant that it was the balance between the earth and the heavens. That's all cosmos that was ever intended to mean. And then it later became, in that dome, it later became the stars, right? So how the stars all align is within that dome, right? That in that we say hemisphere, we say that because this is all land. We live on Earth, right? So we can all agree on that. We live on Earth. We live on soil. And this here doesn't necessarily mean that it's a cosmic egg and there is this cylindrical or uh, spherical shape to it all. But this goddess was called Nut. Nut kept the waters above, the chaos above, from dropping on mankind, right? And so in her body, you can see all these little stars are in her body through ancient Egypt. They're actually five pointed, but if you look at any of the ancient Egyptian sites, you'll always see it on the ceilings of every temple that they have, like the temple of Hathor. There's five stars, like over and over and over again. There's a million stars all over the ceiling. They painted the entire ceiling blue, and they painted a whole bunch of white stars. They look just like this, all over the whole ceiling inside of the temple of Hathor. Right. So the goddess Nut kept the waters above from hitting us. Well, now if I'm making a cloud buster, what I'm doing is creating photonic energy and ions, and I'm sending Denise Carney. Hey, lady, how are you? Um, I hope you didn't. Yeah, you probably missed a bit of this right now, but I'm just talking about the ancient Egyptian thing. So we got three. That's good. It's not as many as I get on Facebook, but it's like any class, right? The less people, the better. The more thorough I can be. Don't be afraid to ask me any questions either, man. If you think that this is worth your time, let me know. But I'm trying to explain to you through history why I came to the Earth being flat. Right? It's a hard thing to swallow. It's a hard thing to swallow. I did, I did. I opened my mind and said, "Can it be?" And once I got the Cloudbusters together, I was like, "Oh my God, that's how this all works." Right? So you put the God on Earth. That was an ancient Gothic thing, an old Gothic thing in like the year 1000 or 1200 AD. The Goths had a word. It was like Gaud or something like that. Gaud, and it just meant like the king, the person that you worship, the king, the pharaoh, the whoever. And so where that misinterpretation is at is the most interesting part, because they're saying the God on earth, right? They're talking about this is where God up in the heaven came to be, right? From that word, from the Goths in Germany, right? So that word has evolved in its meaning over and over and over. They didn't have a word, just God. when they said in ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and ancient Rome, the gods, they were talking about the people who have become anointed, right? Jesus being one of these people, the Son of God. They're talking about the literal Son on the inside of here, right? Lucifer, same thing. Apollo, same thing. Artemis, the same thing. The Eastern Star and all that stuff. So when they said the gods, they were talking about the men on Earth. Amy who? William Scott. I've known it's flat from my own experiences sun gazing for 5 years, and I watched YouTube before the censorship came in 2014. I wish that I would have, man. William, I never did. I never watched YouTube all that much. I was so hard into my work. I loved building. Um, so now if you start talking about the use of this word God, right? What we call God is not the same thing that the Egyptians called God. So they meant that there is one great creator, and they don't ever say that it's a man, right? They had one, and it was Ptah. That was the spelling for his name was Ptah. That was like the first god of ancient Egypt, like pre-dynastic Egypt, right? And that was the Lucifer of that time, right? And then you had the Gnostic Essenes. That was another sect of Judaism, but that's the one that they knocked out because all of the Gnostics went to ancient Egypt to learn at the Library of Alexandria, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, also Jewish sects, had them killed, right? So that's the whole story of Jesus. Like Jesus was hung on a cross and all that stuff. It was because he was a Gnostic Essene, if he was a real person at all. They talk about the allegories and all that stuff. I mean, I don't want to argue about that with anybody. I tend to believe in the stories or the words of the Bible as far as Jesus is concerned, but I don't think I think he was a physical man on earth. Ken Wheeler too, and I remind you of him. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Ken Wheeler is, but without an ego. Yeah, the ego is that's the hard part. That's the Gnostic thing. That's the death of the self. You got to read the Red Book by Carl Jung. You get so far into it, and you just go, "Wow, this guy is like a psychopath. Is he losing his mind?" And that was the big thing about it. But he was saying, like, I am losing all that I am composed of. And that's what I did. I mean, I literally, I don't think about yesterday. I don't think about tomorrow. I literally think about everything is right here in this moment. What do I need to do? I mentioned to you about my trinity of people being you, Sabrina. Oh, all right. I know who you are now. Yeah. Only thing I know to mention. um, on Facebook, you were saying that. Yeah. I know who you are now. So now, anyway, when you start talking about the different gods that were of the sun, right? The holy of holies, the great creator. It's not just about this, and I'm talking about a different sun. There's like I think that above all of this, I wish I had a book with that damn picture because I always want to show it to people when I'm already on the phone. I don't have a book that shows that. You probably have seen me post it before, but it's the ancient Hebrew map of the world. It was the accepted model of the Earth up until like 1913. They changed it, wiped it out. My hands are dirty because I was just scuffing up some copper today. So in the Hebrew map of the world, it looks like this, right? And they say that they show like stars are here, the moon is inside here, the sun is inside here. There's water, and they call this shale down here. I think there's an E at the end. Shale, like we say the word shale, like oil or black soot, black earth. So where was I going here? I'm talking about so the men on earth becoming godly. That would be your saints, right? Your saints were godly. And you would always see this halo on the saints. It meant that they have ascended. They have dropped their ego. They've gotten to a place of spiritual purity where they can speak freely on any topic, but from this holy kind of place, right? Holy being made whole. That's what it always meant. It didn't mean just you get a you get a halo and that's it, right? Like it didn't mean it that way. Neither did God mean the people up in the heaven. The gods weren't the things that were up in the heavens. They would like directly say, Zeus, blessed be Zeus, or whatever the name of the god was, watching from the heavens, right? So in the books of Enoch, they say watching, the watchers a lot from the heavens. They're watching. They're shining their light down onto us. The angels now through the Bibles, the angels were the whatever came down to earth and impregnated the daughters of men. What they're saying by that is they have impregnated those women with the seed of consciousness, with the divine light, with that cosmic arrangement, right? So if that's the pregnant mom and the spark of life happens, all of this in all of what you add up, that's the zodiac, right? So what stars are in the sky, in the cosmos, the divine arrangement or the divine order was where the Egyptians wanted to get back to. So that's what I was going to read from the Halls of Amenti in the Emerald Tablets. So we come from the stars. As you read this, you would hear it from that perspective. We come from the stars in mind only, in consciousness. Our body is just Earth, but we become a magnetic thing. So at the beginning of life, we are here. Or no, actually, we are all pretty much all positive, but we're drawing or attracting magnetic things from the Earth, phosphorus and magnesium and potassium. Like as you grow up, you are a magnetic thing. You are you're building onto your. You drink water. Guess what? Like some of that water sticks inside of your body. You eat food. You add mass over and over and over again, but it all sticks to that core electromagnetic thing. So it's like tying a magnet onto a string and running down the street. By the time you get to the end of the street, it's going to be all clumped up with a whole bunch of little metal particulates. But that's us going through our life. And so, when they went through that process of mummification, the gold was there to increase the ionization and drive the soul out of the body. And they left that physical thing, that magnetic body was still left behind. Which makes it all really, really interesting, So, and then the zodiac, the oldest, if you look up the Dendera temple in ancient Egypt, that has the world's oldest zodiac, and that's exactly why the zodiac was so important. It determined. They called it the divine, like it was like a divine blueprint. Um, and I've explained this in one of my lives on Facebook before. I don't know if you guys tell me if I'm just repeating myself, but in the old-fashioned self-playing pianos, you would have that like metal scroll-looking thing with the steel pins sticking out of it, and you would crank it up, and as it played, it would um, strike one of the keys, and the note would be there, right? That's when they say the universe is the great song, the divine blueprint for your cosmic life, your being here is your behavior, your conscious abilities, everything about you is built by that blueprint. And I don't think that's the halls of Amenti. I haven't really decoded that in my mind the way that I want to. So I'm going to read you parts of this anyway. Key to freedom of space. If I read the whole thing, you would. All right, so key to above and below. Are you guys okay with that? With me reading it? So here's the really cool part, right? That is a chemistry in frequency soup, right? The cosmic energy from the sky above is what determines that person's life, right? Does that make sense? Is it interesting or what? Like, Amy said, I mentioned to you about my Trinity. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Ken Wheeler. Yeah, I don't know who Ken Wheeler is. Send me a video or something on that guy. So now it's just let's say that it's chemicals, right? Chemicals have specific values, right? If we go into the periodic table, let's just say if I add, you know, if I add sulfur, right? This is what all of the alchemy stuff is all about. It's the alchemy in the body. It's the alchemy of all things. It's not just certain things there, but I can pick anything off of here, right? Let's say sulfur, and the electron count is 16 electrons, right? Determines the density. Electron count determines the density of that thing. So if I were to add these all up, those electrons are vibrating components of mass, right? So if I want to change that mass, I would have to ionize it. I would have to apply something to it, right? Heat, electricity, energy from light above, right? So you add these things together in different compositions, right? That have like 25 electrons, 30 electrons, right? So you do the same thing with the stars. There's a radiant value for each specific star or planet in the sky. That's why the planets were so important to become a planet. Why did they name it after all these people that were once on Earth? Mars, Pluto, Neptune, right? Aries and Jupiter and all that, not Aries, but Saturn, Saturn being Kronos of the Greeks, but it all different gods throughout all the different ages. So what I'm saying is that radiant, that cosmic radiant recipe is why you are what you are, and the Egyptians knew that. This is why they always said that the zodiacs don't matter. That's a bunch of holy, bullshit stuff, right? Keep going. I've seen them all, and you are real, and I'm on the same path and love your knowledge. Likewise, man. I mean, if you're here, obviously, it means something, and it's important. To me, it's important. All of this stuff, it's important because you find this spirituality about. Well, I really know what God is now. It's a matter of my harmonization with the outer world, right? Like it's not. I'm not going to be able to do anything about the world, right? But I can change myself and adapt to that world, and in a positive method. Yeah, it is huge. It's freaking huge. So, but that as a concept, teaching other people. Am I still recording this? I think I was screen recording this. I am. That's cool. But as you're teaching, you're talking about people. I don't know what the hell I said something else there that wasn't teaching. It's not that I'm trying to teach anybody. It's that I'm trying to free people is what it is, so it's corrupted. We're watching it be corrupted. Oh, and so the removal of self, the removal of all these things that they added into you, like they basically tried to replace the stars, the thing that you were supposed to be based on divine light and the divinity in the heavens and cosmic balance and cosmic order and cosmic justice, like all these different terms that they had in ancient Egypt to maintain your spiritual purity. You realize, like, wow, what they said is Jesus died for my sins. Jesus already died for my sins. Like, I'm allowed to do whatever I want, and that's the trickery in it. So the lower level you are, like the less energy you're composed of, like the lowest the energy, you're going to end up trapped here to do it all again, over and over and over again. You're never going to become one of the stars in the heavens because you have not made yourself whole by with spiritual purity and all that stuff. So it sounds like lunacy to probably the average people for me to say all these things, but the truth in it is, like, you can feel it. It's this is about my soul, right? I want to contribute, and that's what Ma'at was all about, right? Divine principles of Ma'at were about not just being on earth and keeping yourself healthy and worry about your soul getting off to heaven and all that stuff. So the better the person I am, the better the whole arrangement of people around me will be, right? The world will be better because I am doing good, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing, but it all affects the divine order of things altogether. But the goal for them was to become one with the heavens, right? To get into the heavens with the gods. So now that recipe and where you landed and where you are now in this world, like, it doesn't mean that you don't believe in God or you can't. Wow, the sun came out again. It doesn't mean that our version of God is corrupted through the Bibles that we've gotten, right? But you have to think in your lifetime how many of these different things changed. I mean, Egypt had all of these incredibly strange and unique gods, and then suddenly Greece, the only gods that mattered were the Greek mythology gods, and then suddenly the Romans pop up and there's only so many gods, and then they said, the hell with it, let's just make one big god, and the point behind that was to unify and entrap or ensnare the minds of men. And I mean, that's the entire point behind it. One God. Well, who determines what that God is, how that God demands you live your life, and all of that stuff, right? The wrathful God, and you're going to hell if you don't do things the way that I said. And to me, it's always been like, man, God would be a lot more loving than that. What do you mean you're going to send me to hell? So I'm not supposed to enjoy anything about life at all, so that as an idea, the Abrahamic God, the Abrahamic God is what the whole thing is with Lucifer. Abraham and Lucifer, Lucifer had not that Lucifer is good or bad, one way or the other. I'm not saying that he is. I'm telling you, what I know of the story of Lucifer is about rebellion from the demanding, over controlling, thou shalt not God, right? Where the Egyptians had the I have not. I have lived my life well, right? Nobody told me I had to. Nobody told me I did anything. I just know that if I don't, the bad things karma is gonna catch on to me later on in the world. I've been telling my fiance these exact things you're saying. Really? I posted a video on one of your Facebook posts. Did you see it? I'm not sure. There's so many, man. I keep getting bombarded by bots on Facebook. I'll check. Just tag me or send me a Facebook message about it. So anyway, that, that's the history of where the gods come from, with the ideas of what gods were. They were men on earth. Julius Augustus thought of himself as a god on earth, right? And it wasn't just Julius Augustus. Anybody who was anointed, anybody who has removed their ego and sought spiritual purity, right, to the point of becoming divine on earth. I am the God on earth, right? Not the God, but I am a God on this earth. I am the will of God. That cosmic energy, the one in the all and the all in the one, right? I will have to read a little bit of this to you for you to maybe understand that part of it, but it's all one gigantic thing, and it's all supposed to be in harmony, not in disharmony like we always see in our radio and frequency stuff and all of that crap, So I'll read this first part. I'm going to see. You guys tell me the first one to answer. I'm going to read these off, and you tell me what you want to hear about. What would be most familiar to you? To the original work by Doriel, the history of Thoth, who he was. This page is only about 90. I think it's 70 pages actually. 70 pages or so. No, it's 90 pages, right? So the history of Thoth is important because all of these people like Pythagoras, all these people like Mithras as a god, Lucifer as a person on it, they were all people on Earth at one time, is what I believe. And they all these stories, all these carvings, all these paintings, everything has to do with them being that, being people on Earth. Where did they come up with all these crazy stories? I mean, they started, using the myths to describe the realities of how things function and all that. Like you think of Zeus up in the heavens with throwing lightning. Well, that's all static potential. So they're giving you an allegory of where that electrical potential comes from. And, Poseidon, and again, you're going into that 3-6-9 thing like Nikola Tesla. This is 3 is the magnetic, 6 is the harmonious, 9 is the ever cycling God. Will come back, right? 3, 6, 9. 6 is the balance in ancient Egypt. But what did Poseidon have? Right? That was how they told us. He had a 3-headed spear, right? A 3-pointed spear. They didn't say anything about Zeus with the number 9. There's probably stuff that would allude to it. And I don't know which god would be considered. I'll look this up for next time I ever talk about this, if anybody asks. All right, so the history of Thoth the Atlantean, the halls of Amenti, the key of wisdom, the space born. when they're talking about space and time in this book, your fiance goes to church and you do not. I believe in God within me and have found much knowledge this way. Yeah, it leads you, like, that's the whole thing. It leads you straight into like true spirituality. Like, I should be doing what's right, not killing and not doing all these. My mom was calling me, man. Sorry about that. The Dweller of Unal, the Key of Magic. All right, so the Key of Magic should be pretty interesting. Okay, that's on page 49. You guys have any ideas? Internet connection is unsafe. It just said my internet connection is unsafe. How is that possible? Um, the Seven Lords is an interesting one. So he's talking about the planets in the sky, right? To become a part of, to become a part of the heavens means that you will shine your light on mankind and eventually or essentially determine what they consciously become throughout the ages, and that's they're saying about the aeons and all that with the stars above. So I just looked at this 15 times. The Key of Magic is 43. All right, so the Key of Magic, and it sounds an awful lot like Bible scripture, so bear with me, man. It's hard to. Hark ye, O man, to the wisdom of magic. Hark the knowledge of powers forgotten. Long ago, in the days of the first man, warfare began between darkness and light. Man, then as now, were filled with both darkness and light. And while in some darkness hell sways, in other light fills the soul. Yes, age old in this warfare, the eternal struggle between darkness and light. Fiercely is it fought all through the ages, using strange powers hidden to man. Right? We're witnessing this. No, it's not the cell phone towers making you sick. I couldn't be, right? The lights, right? LED lights and all the fourth industrial revolution, fifth generation warfare, right? Where we're watching all that physical, not physical, but it's this kind of magic that he's talking about, things that men don't understand, right? But they're using technology for it now. We call it technology, not magic. Adepts has three, or has adepts has there been filled with the blackness, struggling always against the light, but others there are who, filled with brightness, have ever conquered the darkness of night. Ever conquered the darkness of night. What he's saying is, how do I conquer the darkness of night? If I am a star put into the heavens, right? So all of these things that come out here as you read this contributes over and over and over again to the idea that the pyramids actually created the stars, that the people and the souls on this earth were what the stars are composed of in the waters above. And Nun, like that's what they called that, was Nun. So the waters above was another goddess, but it was the name Nun, was the chaos. There's one other, I can't remember the snake. There's some kind of snake that represents the chaos, but man, this is a lot more chill too. There's not like shit flying left and right here. It's resonating with you big time. Good, man. Yeah, that's what I'm after. I think it's adepts has there been filled with the blackness, struggling always against the light, but others there are who, filled with brightness, have ever conquered the darkness of night. Wherever ye may be in all ages and plain, surely ye shall know of the battle with night. Long ages ago, the sons of the morning descending found the world filled with night. There in that past begun the struggle, the age old battle of darkness and light. And so in ancient Egypt, they called that was the war of Horus and Set. So Horus and Set determined, in the morning they would have their little battle and Horus would win. Horus was the son, right? The son of God, the great God. And Set he would come back at nighttime and he would win the battle at nighttime. So it's an eternal battle. Well, there's something in royalty that understands this about light and dark, and the hue that's in the sky is like super beneficial to your. It's right when it's at 528 hertz. So the sun, as it's rising through the sky in the morning, it will start off at like I think 400 hertz or something like that, electromagnetically higher in light value, but as it ascends, it gets higher and higher in frequency, in electromagnetic frequency. So when it's right at that spot of 528 hertz, that's where you see dusk and dawn, right? And that hue in the sky, the mixture, the perfect mixture of the light and the dark, does something to the pineal gland that helps it helps consciousness, helps more awareness. But that's why the colors of royalty have always been purple. It was the combination of the red and the blue, from the night meeting each other every day. And so the sun sets and the sun raises. So the great God above is like that's Ra, is another name for Ptah. That's it's like seven spheres to heaven. It's so Ra and Isis come together to say the sun raises, right? So the sun rises, and the sun sets. But because of that battle, that's one of their earliest things. I sun gaze. This is resonating. Oh, okay, I read that. Many in the time were so filled with darkness that only feebly flamed the light from the night. Some they were masters of darkness who sought to fill all with their darkness. Right. This would be the Hyksos, right? To trick and deceive, and they rule by night rather than day. Some they were masters of darkness who sought to fill all with their darkness, sought to draw others into their night. Fiercely withstood they, the masters of brightness. Fiercely fought they from the darkness of night, sought ever to tighten the fetters, the chains that bind men to the darkness of night. Used they always the dark magic brought into men by the power of darkness, magic that enshrouded man's soul with darkness, right? Um, Magic that enshrouded. All right, so magic was Heka, right? Heka, kasut, dark magic. Um, that's the true. All right, so the Greeks called it Hyksos because they couldn't pronounce Heka kasut. They said Hexos, and it meant the dark rulers, that they ruled by dark magic. And if you notice, every sentence is just like an old Romance language, right? Where everything is backwards. Like like in English, our language has been reversed because it changes the direction in which we think. Where it's a linear thought thing, but they change the direction from in which we write from left to right. Right, your left brain controls your right arm, your right hand. Right, your right brain controls your left hand. Well, they switched that over by creating the alphabet the way they did. The Phoenicians were also the tribe of Heka. They were the wandering nomad the merchants, right? That needed people to think materialistically, right? So if you have only one side of your brain you're using through your consciousness, you know, um, it makes a really interesting concept. But that's the age from the Phoenicians forward. You start to see the art changes, the architecture starts to change, everything about everything starts to change. Um, and you start to lose all this curvy, soft brilliance and beauty to all things. Like Greece would have these these perfect statues, and then you get into Rome and everything starts becoming boxy and square, and then you go these cathedrals and all these sharp points on everything. But art and the great, the God in all things changes completely forever, right? The God in all things, that one thing that permeates all things, that is the, you know, earth, water, fire, and air, and one to rule over them all. And that's this, right? That conscious energy is in control of the warmth of your body. It's in control of the earthliness that you come from, the water that your cells are composed of, the air that you breathe, right? It's the one that rules over them all. That is the. Hi, Steph. How are you? I just subscribed. Jeannie, thank you so much. Thank you guys. So I'm honest to God. Thank you guys so much. I mean, I can't. I I really want to do a lot of these. I want to do like I really want to dig into the depths of the emerald tablets and like a lot of other ancient Egyptian books. I'm usually stomped. It's so hard to do it all. It's construction, and my son doesn't help me anymore, so I'm usually stuck doing all this shit by myself. It sucks. So anyway, I'll keep reading here. Sought ever they to tighten the fetters, the chains that bind men to the darkness of night. Used they always the dark magic brought into men by the power of darkness, magic that enshrouded man's soul with darkness. And again, like what I was trying to say before, is they always speak backwards. Like, we would say, I'm going to the store, they would say, to the store, I will go. Right. So that's why everything is flipped and flopped. Like all of the languages have been reversed. And by the time you get 50 different translations from, Persian into Mesopotamian into Egyptian into Greek into Rome. By the time the Americans get it, it's like I'm going out to work on the railroad. I'm going to be a cowboy because it's just easier than all that. Trying to figure all that shit out. So banded together as in order, the brothers of darkness. They through the ages antagonists. They too the children of men. Okay, so the children of men again, right? As these children of darkness, what they're saying is that it's us without any higher knowledge, right? You're an animal and you're in the dark. In Freemasonry, they say that thing to bring your brothers to the light, the Illuminati to be illumined. There's a whole bunch like so. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, as Freemason as they are, they're one of my favorite bands. And the things that they say in their songs are so much. He has a song, "Don't Forget Me." It's called the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he says. Lift up your lamp, walk through that door, right? So he's talking about lifting up, being the light bringer, right? He says another thing, bring me you're tired, you're poor. So you got to listen to the song. Look up the song. It's called I can't remember the name of the song. If I'm thinking of the right song, but that's what it's about: is that we're animals on Earth, and to bring ourselves to a higher mind, to illuminate the way that you think, to become more than just man. In that darkness, we are in the dark, is what he's saying, kind of, I guess. Wherever they walked and worked in darkness, hiding from the light in the darkness of night, silently, secretly, used they their power, enslaving and binding the soul of men, keeping us living in our darkness. That's what the Hekakasut are doing now, right? You don't know that you're not supposed to do blah 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 or whatever for spiritual purity. You don't know that you're supposed to be that way, So you live in sin, in darkness, right? In darkness is in sin is basically the same thing. By the time we got it into our Bibles, so unseen they come and unseen they go. Man in his ignorance calls them from below. Dark is the way of the dark brothers travel. Dark of the darkness, not of the night. Traveling o'er earth, they walk through man's dreams. Power they have gained from the darkness around them to call other dwellers from out of their plane in ways that are dark and unseen by man. Into man's mind space reach the dark brothers. Around it, so it's basically so I guess that you are always tempted to live in a very low vibration, right? Great, got a great video on the powers of fasting. Again, yeah, that's God. That's the whole thing with Jesus. That's the whole thing with Jesus, right? 40 days and 40 nights, right? All right. So another one. It rained for 40. So Jesus fasted, I think, for 40 days. The other one though, 40 days and 40 nights. Well, if I pierce the dome and there's all water out here, why would it rain for 40 days and 40 nights? Right? But that's the reason, like I think that's the reason. And what happened? Egypt ended up being wiped out for it. How did it get wiped out? water from wherever. But where did all the sand in Egypt come from? Water is the only thing that could deliver that much sand to an entire landmass, right? This. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. That's kind of. He's talking about the wave source and that sort. Teaching me. All right, the key of mystery. That's the one. Cast off my body. Circle. All right, so here we go. All right, this is one of these things. So this is actually like he's speaking about himself at this point. The key to freedom of space. All right. Listen ye, oh man. All right. Now, another thing, too, is by the time you get the translation of this book, they say time, space all the time. So that was a translation. It's misunderstood. Time, space. Like time is not a thing. It's a construct of man. We all know that, right? That goes into the Mesopotamians counting with their fingers, right? The base 60 system and all that. Um, so time and space is not, what is space? Space is from here to the heavens. That's space. That's everything outside of your body is considered space. Everything outside of there, that's not outer space, right? So when he says this time space thing all the time, he's talking about the cosmos, the divine order. I'm interested in all of it. Now that the veil is lifted for me, there's a lot to catch up on. Yeah, so fasting is a huge one. Like that's a big one. Like the Jewish people do that, right? Listen ye, O man, hear my voice, teaching of wisdom and light in this cycle, teaching ye how to banish the darkness, teaching ye how to bring light in thy life. Seek ye, O man, to find the great pathway that leads to eternal life as a son. Leads to eternal life as a son. How freaking cool is that? Oh man, this camera is so backwards. I can't stand it. Right. Leading to eternal life. Right about in the wrong spot again. Leading to eternal life as a son. Right. Seek ye, O man, to find a great pathway that leads to eternal life as a son of God. Right. Eternal life, to become a part of the divine order, the light in the sky, to become light again, right? You are now a star again. So who's the fallen angel? The fallen star is the sun inside the earth, right? This is the whole Lucifer and Mithras and Jesus. Like they're all the same. They're the same entity. You really got to get this book. It's great. It's The Secret History of Our World by Mark Booth. You got to get that book. You need it. By the time you get to the end of that book, you're just going, oh my God, like, how did we not see all this stuff? It completely removes you from this dependency on religion. Like you're dependent on religion as your moral compass. After you read that book, you're like, oh my God, it's me. Like I am the moral compass. I am the one with the angel and the devil on their shoulder at all times. They don't ever go away. Like you come to this freedom from it, That book is so good. Light a focus for the sun of this space. Lift thou thine eyes to the cosmos. Look up to the cosmos. Look up to the light. Speak in the words of the dweller, the chant that calls down the light. All right, so I have a book of ancient Egyptian spells in my house. You say these weird things, and the way that they're pronounced, it shows you how they're pronounced. And it was like these weird chants that you would do inside of the pyramids. 3 Zeitgeist documentaries. Yeah, the third one I didn't like because it was too much on finance and stuff I didn't understand at the time. What's the book again? The Secret History of Our World by Mark Booth. The Secret History of Our World, because all of it is built on this ancient Egyptian spirituality, the preservation of your own purity is to mislead other people indirectly. You don't have to lead those people into destroying themselves. They'll destroy themselves on their own because they need an enemy, right? They have not removed their ego from what they are. They don't care to see if they see harm done to other people because it's not them. It's not my soul I got to worry about, right? It's theirs. They got their own soul to get to heaven, right? So you don't go out of your way to help those people do better in life, It's crazy how backwards it all is, I'm going to skip through. I'm going to skip around a couple of different parts here. So this book is called The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The Zeitgeist movies, yeah, between the different Jesuses and all that, yeah, there was Jesus, Mithras was one, and they bring them all up. Horus was definitely one. There's another one, Zarathustra is another one to the Persians, but that's the whole birth of uh, the Islam and whatever else. So here we go. Now, long ago, I cast off my body, wandered I free through the vastness of ether, circled the angles that hold man in bondage. Know ye, O man, ye are only a spirit. So your soul comes from the heavens down to earth to fill this earthly thing and return to the heavens. If you are pious, if you are pure, if you live well, you know. So I'm going to read that again. Long ago, I cast off my body, wandered I free through the vastness of ether, cycling up. And so this is a story I brought up in a couple lives like years ago and maybe a month or two ago. But when I was a little kid, I had a dream of flying up in the sky, and I was in the clouds. I could feel the moisture of the clouds. I could see the reflection of the sun on on all of the ponds and lakes down on the earth. Everything was green, and I'm just flying and surfing over all this stuff. And I'm talking to this guy that's next to me, and the dream started by jumping. It had something to do with basketball, and I keep jumping and jumping and jumping. And finally, in this dream, I'm just flying, and I look down and I see this mountainside, and I'm supposed to go into that mountainside. And then from that point forward, it's celebratory. Like people are saying, "Oh, he's here," and whatever. But I think that like literally, it was a memory of my soul body flying around in the ether, right? Cycling around where the cosmic energy is. That's all souls. That's all soul energy up there. That's where that electrical charge comes from, right? So this is what's profound. As I'm reading this, I'm thinking about that as my dream. Like, this is crazy that people don't understand these things this way, you know? So long ago, I cast off my body, vastness, circled through the angles that hold man in bondage. Know ye, O man, or again, and hold man in bondage. So Lucifer, or the light bringer, or Mithra, or the Statue of Liberty, who is actually Mithra, the light bringer, the broken chain on the foot is freed of this earthly realm, is taken away from this magnetic Ka'at, right, the body of earth, and that soul has been freed to become heavenly and live immortal with the gods in the heavens, you know? Isn't that wild? Like, it's wild when you hear it that way and you think about it that way. With this, you apply this own depth that you have to it. You just, all right, like, wow, that's a big difference, right? So, is outer space water? Right? That's the next question. Know ye, O man, ye are only a spirit. The body is nothing. The soul is all. Let not your body be a fetter. Cast off the darkness and travel in light. Cast off your body, O man, and be free, truly a light that is one with the light. When you are free from the fetters of darkness and travel in space as the son of the light, sun S-U-N, then ye shall know that space is not. Let me start again. Then ye shall know that space is not boundless, but truly bounded by angles and curves. Know ye, and again, bound by angles and curves, the square and the compass of the Freemasons, the square shape and the half circle laid over the top two, the St. Valentine thing, right? St. Valentine was a holy man. He was made whole. He was a saint. Circle split in half, exactly. That's how you get the shape for the heart, was Rosicrucianism, keeping Egyptian spirituality alive. That's why they always use that symbolism and all that stuff. It's to bind the two together. What do you have is a midway point between the square and the circle. You would have this thing that permeates all things, right? So when ye are free from the fetters of darkness and travel in space as the son of light, then ye shall know that space is not boundless, but truly bounded by angles and curves. Know ye, O man, that all that exists is not an aspect of greater things yet to come. Matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. Dirt has some water and hydrogen applied to it, and it becomes compacted, and now you suddenly have a whole bunch of pressure, and there's still hydrogen bonding it all together. Like, that's that one thing that permeates all things. Hydrogen in the Walter Russell books is the same thing. Everything is that spiral. It's one thing bleeds into the next thing. So when ye are free from the fetters of darkness and travel in space as the son of the light, then ye shall know that space is not boundless, but truly bounded by angles and curves. Know ye, O man, that all that exists is only an aspect of greater things yet to come. Matter is fluid and flows like a stream, constantly changing from one thing to another. So, I know I just read that. I'm trying to. It's concrete, right? All through the ages has knowledge existed, never been changed, though buried in darkness, never been lost, though forgotten by man. Know ye that throughout the space that ye dwell in, are others as great as your own, interlaced through the heart of your matter, yet separate in space of their own. Once, all right. So I said about the song, the Chili Pepper song, "Lift up the lamp, walk through that door." Right. So once in a long time forgotten, I Thoth opened the doorway, penetrated into other spaces, and learned of the secrets concealed. Right. Opened the doorway. Deep in the essence of matter are many mysteries concealed. 9 are the interlocked dimensions, and 9 are the cycles of space. 9 are the diffuse space of cosmos, right? That's one of those spots where they didn't, in the translations, they didn't know the right way to say it, so that's the word they used was space. 9 are the diffusions of consciousness, and 9 are the worlds within worlds. 9 are the lords of the cycles that come from above and from below. So 9, if you saw that video I did yesterday, 9 always goes back to itself. 9 times 5 is 4 plus 5. Just in symbology only, the shape of the number 9 is the spiral, the God in all things. So the number 9 is a representation of God. He comes from the heavens, 9, to the earth, merged. Earth merged with water. You've got 9, right? So in that blend, that's what. So everything to the Egyptians was about the number 9 and the number 6. So space is filled with concealed ones for cycles that come from above and below. I9 are the lords of the cycle. Some just triggered me there. 9 are the lords of the cycles. I don't know how to explain that way. Space is filled with concealed ones. So again, the 9 is the one thing that always goes back to itself. In the square, 90, 180, 270, 360. In the square and the circle, I've got 360 degrees. 180, half a circle. 1 plus 8 plus 0 still equals the 9, right? So he's talking about the angles and the curves as they all become one, right? 270 degrees, 2 plus 7 plus 0. Same thing when I split the circle, right? The cross. That's where we get the cross from, literally, is where that comes from. That's what the Gnostics used. That was like, and that's why you see it on the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were the custodians of that information. As we preserve the ancient Egyptian spirituality, and that becomes the Jesuit order. Well, the Jesuit order is always pointing their finger or making the Jews stand up and make themselves recognized as the whatever, right? Well, the secular Jews that aren't like religious Jews are Jesuits. No religion, no God do they worship, right? That's the people of the darkness and all this stuff. They call them the snake people. When we hear the reptilians, they're talking about the snake people from ancient India. That's a mistranslation. They're snake people because they hid from within and they took over from out of nowhere, So space is filled with the concealed ones, for space is divided by time. Seek ye the key to the time-space cosmos, and ye shall unlock the gate. Know ye that throughout the time-space consciousness surely exists, though from our knowledge it is hidden, yet still forever exists. The key of the worlds, da 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 da. Great light that fills all the cosmos, flow thou fully to man. Great light that fills all the cosmos, flows fully to man. Make of his body a light torch that shall never be quenched among men. Bring him to the light. And there's a big thing about the Vikings that I'm almost certain of it. Like I know that white people at one time ran Egypt or were in Egypt or whatever. You had the Hyperborean race and all this. But if you see in ancient Egypt, they have red ochre skin. They think that they used mud of Egypt to cover their skin, or they were sunburnt, one or the other. But there was no red-skinned people over in ancient Egypt. I'm talking 20 or 30,000 years ago. Look up the Red Lady of Madrid. The Red Lady of Madrid. It was a um, red-haired, light-skinned, white person from Spain. The Red Lady of Madrid. Look that up, and she's like 19,000 years old. Like we have been cycling through this stuff over and over and over again forever. It's not this 6,000 years ago shit. It's all a bunch of shit. So what they do is they keep on turning up the, life, bringing age of man in and destroying all the evidence of the previous worlds, right? That's what the wars are in Iran, Iraq, um, anything like so. China in World War II, to continually create all these wars is to destroy the evidence of all these previous cultures and whatever. It's so fucking dirty and just excuse the language, but it's sickening. It's a sickening thing to know all of that. That we could live in peace, we could live in harmony, we could do all these things, and we don't, because these people have to hide all of this stuff to get you to come here and live through your own misery to pursue a life of purification for yourself and spiritual cleanliness. And so I think the closest thing, even when you're considering Egypt or the Muslims or the Jews, I think the closest thing to ancient Egyptian spirituality is Islam. That's what I think. Um, so, and that's hard to say why, but those are the native people. Like those are the people that were there. Christianity is built on it, but then again, like that's also a spinoff. And then the whole Judaic stuff, like the 12 tribes of Canaan, that was a totally different thing. They were the 12 tribes of Canaan, not the 12 tribes of Israel. When they went to Israel, they came out as the tribe of Israel was dominant, or Judea was one of those tribes, and that split into three different sects, which was the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Gnostics, Essenes. So the Essenes were their own. They knocked the Essenes out for being spiritually pure. They killed the Essenes. The same with the Cathars and whatever in France in like the 1600s or whatever. And then you see the I wonder if those catacombs are filled with innocent people. But I don't know, man. Any questions, guys? Anything that's interesting to you or not interesting? Anything you want to ask me? I'm yours. I don't know how long I've been at this. I got 8 minutes left. That's an hour and a half of live video tonight. And I recorded the whole thing. I screen recorded the whole thing. I hope it took. And then I'll try and. Can you guys comment or no? Is anybody there? Probably like, just let him talk. You feel important. Yeah, I can't see any comments coming up. Last one I can see is William Scott said, "Watched the 3 Zeitgeist documentaries years ago." That's all I can see. But if you guys are done with me, I'll take off. Oh, you can hear me? It just came through now. Amy just said yes. Are you guys happy with what we figured out today? So basically, that was it, man. The pyramids were there for creating. So stacked energy, right? You put the body in here, the light being. You have Schumann resonance caught in this gigantic upside down funnel, forced out through the tip of the gold or crystal or whatever capstone that was there. And this photonic energy that is generated by the piezoelectrical energy that has gathered up the magnetic energy of the earth is now compounded, right? And tightened up and condensed into a laser beam. Why did they pick specifically 53.3 degrees? Same thing, like if I take a cloud buster, right, and I want to focalize, or I want to focus on low lying cloud cover, right? The wider my pipes would be, the better off that scatter would be. So if I'm here with a paint can thing, right, and I want to hit all the low-lying clouds. Well, I would use bigger crystals. The bigger the crystals, the lower the frequency, the lower the resonant field, the lower of the resonant energy. I know it sounds backwards. So the higher the frequency is from the smaller the crystal. The smaller you go in crystal size, the higher that frequency becomes. So if I want to hit all the low clouds, I would use a 1-inch pipe with the biggest monstrous ones that I could have, right? Because they have the biggest wavelengths that would affect the heaviest, densest clouds, right? But if I want to affect the tropic or the stratosphere, I would prefer that, instead of affecting a range like this, like an old flashlight. You ever take I think I actually have one here, but it's a flashlight beam, right? What made me start talking about that? Anybody know? I know I had one out here. There we go. It's like you can look at light like this, or you can look at light like this, right? So why did I just bring that up? Oh, from here, right? 53.3 degrees. The pyramid's being built at 53.3 degrees, specifically directed that light up, right? They didn't want to shine light up there like that. They wanted to pierce the heavens and become a part of the heavens. So that is what they call that sonoluminescence thing. They planted the seed of light in the waters above, I'm a caregiver and I find it difficult to sit down and read, so I treasure opportunities like this. That's awesome, Jeannie. Steph, thanks. Am I making sense to you guys, or are you just like, I mean, like we're taught so inverted as far as spirituality is concerned. It's all inverted. It's backwards. It's upside down. And it's intended to be. That they live off of us this way, and it's such a nasty thing when you realize like they all live in purity, and we just friggin' kill each other, man. It's terrible, man. It's freaking terrible. So I guess if you guys are going to be with me next, I think on Thursday, go through my posts on here if you don't mind and see what the next one is. I want you to get your money's worth. If you guys are interested in doing the Cloudbuster things too, I'm thinking about having T-shirts made up with, and you guys are the only ones that'll know this, I think. But I wanted to make up wizards holding up a staff with a paint can at the top of it. Those paint cans are awesome, man. I just did that live video on Facebook before. I'm telling you, it was just what my neighbor came over. He thought I was out of my fucking mind last year. He just moved in. I'm like, yo, the earth is flat. I'm fucking cloud busting. He's like, watch me. What am I doing? And today he was over here. He's asking questions. Like, all right, so what? That's photons, and he's like really getting into it. But it was hilarious. Like the look that he gave me when I first started talking to him about it all. I was like, how do you dump that onto people, But he came out today, and the sky was a dead gray blanket all the way across. I put that thing up in the sky, or I put it in the yard, and boom. All the clouds just started breaking right apart. I mean, dark gray clouds start to open up to light clouds, and then blue. Then you start to see some blue. We are in metric in Oz, and you are on it. My next project is the Cloudbuster. William, if you need, there's another guy. His last name is Scott as well. Greg Scott? I think his name is Greg, or damn it, I can't remember his name. He's been making them for people, though, So that's your own little piece of ancient Egyptian technology, right? The crystals I hope you understand. You ask me anything you want, man. And at any time, you can call me, you can text me, whatever. Send me a text message. You have any questions on anything? That's how grateful I am. I'm literally so grateful that you guys are paying anything for it, because it's just a small burden. I don't even know when I get paid or how I get paid. If I do get paid, I don't even fucking care, to be honest with you. Really, I really like the group of people that we had on Facebook, man, more than anything. And, like if I can dedicate my life to doing this stuff and I had the time to read and research these things, man, oh man, it would be a different freaking world, man. I would make an impact. But I want to get to writing my book as well. That would be something I would promise you guys each to get your own copy of a book or something like that. But or give you a little like tidbits of what I'm writing as I'm writing. As it is though, as a carpenter, I go and I do kitchen remodels, and primarily it's where the best money is at. It's the least amount of heavy work. It's a lot of bending and batting on the knees and whatever else, but I stick there because I'm old and I'm precise, and I love it. I love the fine woodworking, and if I can get away from that because I'm getting older, I don't have I got divorced. I ended up losing all my retirement. I had benefits like crazy. All of it got hammered, so I don't want to be doing this shit for the rest of my life. I really want to apply myself to my love for people. Still just need the templates, Shane. Teresa Woodley. Can your paint cans be used on balconies? You're in a condo. The paint cans can be. I was using them in a bucket of water. If you use a bucket of sea salt water, um, you could put it in potting soil, but it needs electrolytes on the base part of it. It needs electrolytes. Has something to do with the electrical process in the earth. The shit that you will see with these things is awesome. The plants and everything. You got to ask this guy Matt Desert. But the shit that you see, the plants are doing so much better. Everything is healthy. There's no bugs around like those. So you think about it, like mosquitoes are always after. Um, After the mosquito, like there's no mosquitoes. Mosquitoes go after dead things. They're always on dead animals laying on the side of the road. Mosquitoes, right? You are dying. You are wearing polyester. People are like, how come you don't get bitten by the mosquitoes, but I'm getting slaughtered by the damn things? That you got to think about it. They're killing our bodies by giving us polyester to kill that reciprocity of life within you, that electrical balance you're supposed to have. I paid and donated to that many shills over the years and became very wary to find someone like you is priceless. I mean, ah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I don't know how to take compliments really. um, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, man. But I just want to see the world get better, and we all do that. Like that's the whole thing for me. And I made a prayer. I made a prayer. I think I said this in one of my lives at risk of sounding cheesy and goofy, or like I want to build my own cult or something. I don't want to be all Charles Manson, but yeah, I kind of just made, like I said, I made a mental note to whoever was listening. It was like, even if I had to be used as Jesus, like as the sacrificial lamb, as martyrdom would be, I just want to see the world better for my children, um, and to be able to bring people back to a spiritual case, and I swear to God, man, since I said that to myself or to whatever, or in this kind of prayer, I mean, in Catholic, I used to kneel next to the bed when I was a little kid. I stopped doing that at about 15, 16 years old, but I prayed for a long time. But after I said that, I just started seeing all of this weird shit, like this kind of weird shit. I would see it, the whole thing with the pharaohs I was saying before, driving the soul out of the body. Like I see that as I'm sleeping. It's not just dreams. It's like I'm being told that these memories that you have, the dreams, I think are memories. Um, but I don't want to sound like a freaking nutcase that. I mean, it sounds like Charlie Manson. I get dreams, and I just know things. That's how I feel. But it's like I see through a lot of shit now. Like, and it's so much different. It's like I can't see this what we call the real world now. I can't see it that way anymore. I'm dead with it. Like I can't. Um, I don't recognize it anymore. I don't. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I know that I'm going back somewhere else. Random question on magnets. I bought a large ferrite magnet to try. Negatively charged. Okay, so I have a random question on magnets. I bought a large ferrite magnet to try your negatively charged water project. The magnet appears to attract from both sides, and I'm having difficulty understanding north from south polarity. Do you have a compass, Steph? You have a compass? Yeah, polyester is brutal. Oh, Therese, get naked. All right, polyester shirt is going off right now. Nylon and acrylic are toxic materials as well. Yeah, I mean we're supposed to wear organic things, but we're dying because we're wearing that. It's like trapping and take an apple and put it in a Ziploc bag next to one that's out in the open air. Which one dies faster? You know, that's what they're doing to our bodies. We're accelerating the rate by which we die. So look, I think I showed everybody this the other day with the. So even with a small magnet, let me grab a small magnet and I'll show you if I can find one. Put them on the cloud busters. All right, so this compass has seen better days. It doesn't even go to the fucking north anymore because I beat the hell out of it with magnets. I probably recharged it. All right, so watch. Not on hand yet. Need to check. Since horrific childhood trauma, I've been awake to reality of the system is age 2. So on a mission, like me. Yeah, I think everybody needs to wake up here, and we don't even have to participate in this fucking bullshit anymore, So the North and South Pole, right? That's north. It's pointing north, right? Right now, it wants to go back to north. Wait, can you see it? Oh, wait. There we go. All right. Man, I cannot get used to this damn thing. All right, so watch. Now, north is pointing to the my magnet is on this side right here, okay? So the magnet is on this side. See what happens with the. Now I'm going to switch the polarity of the magnet and watch what happens. Okay. I'm going to switch the polarity of the magnet again and watch what happens. Right? So north attracts to south and south attracts to north. That's the way you can find out the south side. But you want the south side of the magnet pointed up. That will increase the direct flow of positive energy into the ground. Hemp. I keep thinking about like that. That's a big thing we should all be doing now. Is we should definitely be doing that. Making hemp clothes and hemp farms and all that stuff. We should all be doing that already. It's like way too late. How do we ever let them talk us out of like, hey, I have a well right on my property. Oh, you don't want that. It's hard water and mineral deposits and it's gonna make your tub dirty. I don't give a fuck. Like that's how I feel at this point. Like they just they're destroying our lives and they're using us to do it to ourselves. They don't do shit. They go and they write some stuff on a paper, and what does the rest of us do? We follow like idiots. Like that's how messed up we all are. My phone is at 8%. So I'm going to die here and I got to save that video too. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take off tonight, but I made it, that's an hour and a half. And then I had a plan for the week. I think Sunday I was going to do like a book club thing. I like the idea. Somebody said the Invisible Rainbow. Man, I love that book. That is one of my favorite books of all time. And I would love to cover that one. I'd like to read it too, but I don't know if I still even have that. I do have the Body Electric, Electromagnetism in Life, the Robert O. Becker book. That's a good one. The Water Wizard, the Victor Schauberger books are freaking awesome, man. There's so much that guy teaches us about things that people don't know. Madame Helena Blavatsky is some really cool stuff, Our bed should be north, south too. And it's the same thing for you. So like if you glue a magnet onto the bottom of a glass, right? With the south side up, you'll be drawing positive ions, just like the cloud buster. You'll be drawing positive ions, unhealthy, right? You're creating a harmony. You're taking the oxidation out of the water, driving it into like down and out and away from the water. So the water becomes negatively charged because you're drawing all the positive out of it. Once you draw the positive out, just like your body is overcharged with static because you never ground or earth. My phone just turned black on me. So it's the same thing with your water. Once you tie that to your, plug this. I think I could plug this in. I don't know. Yeah. but that's what you need is negative ions. That's the body electric. Somebody was talking. So the salamanders. It's why the salamanders always grow their shit back. Is because they live in negatively charged water. So it's absent of positive ions. And I mean that's just awesome, right? Once you think about it. But I've been feeling like 100% better since I did this. And it only made sense. It's drawing that static potential straight out. It's not getting trapped up in my body. I'm grounding and earthing, sleeping on an earthing mattress. That water is another part of it. I'm going to start changing my diet here pretty soon. Look at these sons of bitches. Those things are fucking enormous. That is a gigantic magnet. That's what I gave my mom one yesterday. I gave my mom a cloudbuster yesterday. She called me before. She's like, "Oh my God, there's gray skies everywhere but here." I said, "You're welcome." All right, guys, peace. And again, thank you so much for the subscription stuff, man. You don't understand how much it means to me. It's really, really awesome. And I hope there's a lot more. I would need a lot more for it to make much of a dent. And it's not so much about making money. It's gaining freedom to do more of this stuff. Being that I can see it all now, and I love it. I love the topic. I love you guys for doing it. Thank you so much. See you later. And next time I do one of these, if you guys want to, I'm just thinking about this now. If you guys want to get on and talk, right, we can all talk among each other as group, in the group together. So, all right, I had to figure out how to end this damn thing now. See you later. Live? Don't know. Huh? How strange. Copied the clipboard. I don't know. Oh, there it is. End. I think. I can't close the damn thing, man. That's weird. How weird. I can't shut it off. Five? I don't know. I don't know. I'm stuck with you guys, yeah. All right, man. I don't know. I'm going to just shut the fucking phone off, I guess. I don't know. See you later.